specter of Zur-En-Augh be the thing that breaks up Bruce Wayne's family once and for all? Well, let's hop into the pages of Batman issue number 138, a continuation of the Gotham War crossover event, and find out what happens next, shall we? So then, as we open up this newest issue, fasten your retcon belts because we got one coming fast and furious. You see, Vandal Savage, the true secret villain behind Gotham War, regales us with his origin. Stop me if you've heard this one before, but once upon a time he was a caveman who was given super intelligence and immortality thanks to a rock that fell from space. Again, Vandal was never sure if it was magical, alien, hell, it might even have been from the future for all he knew, even though in other stories Vandal most definitely knew that the rock was magical, but I digress. It seems that the mysterious properties of that meteorite seeped into the Earth, and in one particular case ended up actually becoming the Lazarus pits that Ra's al Ghul, longtime Batman foe, uses to prolong his own incredibly long life. This retcon, of course, flies in the face of the last two stories given to the Lazarus Pit's origin. One being that it was the end result of a Chinese warlord's experiments with life-giving elixirs, and the other being that it was Dionysium, some sort of long-lost missing element. Again, none of that matters. What does matter is that apparently before Ra's al Ghul's last death, Vandal Savage had come to him in a weakened state. Vandal had hoped that a dip in the Lazarus Pit would restore him to his former power, but more on this one near the end. From there we transition on over to the present, where we see what became of Jason Todd after he was kidnapped by Batman at the end of the previous issue. Red Hood wakes up paralyzed, and for a second there he thinks that Batman might have poisoned him with some of the Scarecrow's fear toxin, only what he actually did was way worse. You see, Bruce actually used the Zur-En-Augh machine to tamper with Jason's mind. Now anytime he feels a violent impulse, he will be crippled by fear. Jason is obviously horrified that someone he considered a father figure would do something so invasive to him, only for Batman to say, "I did this for you, I'm saving you. I know it seems like I might have just ended your whole career, but really I did it because I love you. Now you can go to Metropolis, start a new life. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm not crazy, you're crazy." Now, Red Hood falling off the map the way that he did has ended up forcing the hand of Nightwing and the rest of the Bat family. They were fine remaining neutral until Bruce or Selina came to their senses and started acting like adults. But now Bruce is acting crazier than ever before, and the influence of Zur-En-Augh is becoming impossible for anyone to deny. Nightwing ends up breaking into Bruce's brownstone, which we discover in this issue was actually the Waynes' original home when Thomas was going to med school. How about that? As well as the home to Batman's entire external computer network. Basically, the secret heart of his operation that only he and Dick knew about. Dick has come here now in hopes of shutting it off and maybe defanging Batman. Until they can properly evaluate his mental state, Damian isn't going to let that happen, though, attacking Nightwing. What's fun about this scene is we don't know what pisses off Damian more. The fact that, as he puts it, all of the other members of the Bat family have thrown in with criminals, or the fact that despite being the son who stuck by Bruce through thick and thin, there's still a lot of secrets that he doesn't know about. Nightwing maintains that he's trying to do what's best for everyone, that Bruce crossed the line when he took Jason, only for Damian to say that Red Hood knows exactly what he was doing, and that he should be punished accordingly. Again, a little hypocritical for a kid who regularly throws in with his own evil mother and breaks up from Batman every couple years when the writers are out of ideas for him. Now, back over with Catwoman, things are starting to get desperate. Not only has she lost her right-hand man, Red Hood, but now all the other henchmen that she's amassed aren't calling her back anymore, and you just don't ghost Selina Kyle. Marquise, who we of course know to actually be Scandal Savage, Selina's most trusted confidant, worries about their chances. After all, Batman always wins, right? And perhaps the only way them and their Thieves Guild can survive is if Catwoman can convince Batman that they're not a threat. Which is of course easier said than done, because once Batman thinks he's right, he's basically never dissuaded of anything. Nightwing tries to shut off the Bat computer, but he ends up getting caught up in a little flashback. You remember the oh-so-classic scene wherein Batman makes a young Dick Grayson take an oath by candlelight to always uphold peace, order, and justice in Gotham. Again, it's actually a pretty cool little scene wherein Dick realizes that he's saying the words of the oath out loud to himself, only for Batman to sneak up behind him and finish it, saying that Dick has long ago forgotten what those words meant. Another fight breaks out between Batman and Nightwing, and Dick tries to get in a couple good verbal bars by saying it's not that he forgot what the oath meant, it's only that he's grown up and realizes that the world isn't nearly as black and white as Batman made it out to be. And, you know, letting your entire existence be dictated by a decision you made when you were 8 8 years old doesn't exactly sound healthy, does it? In fact, nor does kidnapping one of your adopted children and giving them brain surgery against their will, even if you do claim it's under the auspices of helping them. Another scene from this week's book that I'm sure will have tongues a-wagging long after this event is over is a fight that takes place between Damian and Tim Drake. You'll remember that Tim was actually a pretty big focus of this book in the first 2 volumes, and yet his importance kind of fell away during this event. He says, though, that the whole reason he became a Robin, became a superhero in the first place, was because he could tell that Batman was hurting, that he was heading down a dark path from which he might never turn around from, and well, it feels like history is repeating itself right here, right now. Tim also admits that he probably wouldn't be able to defeat Damian in a fair fight, so the only way he wins by cheating, tasing him with his bow staff, and then handcuffing him to a fire hydrant for the rest of the fight. It's at that point Nightwing and Batman's fight ends up spilling out of the brownstone and into the street. Nightwing says all he ever wanted to do was try and maintain peace on the streets, and that he's not going to shatter it willingly. Batman, now fully under the sway of Zur-En-Oss, says that what Selina's doing isn't creating peace, it's creating the illusion of peace, and then he nets up his 2 sidekicks before eventually leaving them for the GCPD to pick up, even though he knows full well that if Dick and Tim are arrested and their identities outed, Batman's identity will be outed soon after. Yes, he really has gone that crazy, the voice of Zur-En-Oss echoing in his head, saying that this is the way it was always meant to be, one man, one war on crime. But the real cherry on top of all of this, though, is that once Tim and Dick end up getting free, they have to free Damian as well, because Batman left him behind. And Damian is legitimately crushed by this, too. He went out of his way to do everything his father asked of him, and then he ended up getting left in the lurch. There's who prove Nightwing and Robin saving Damian, too, also kind of proves their argument about there needing to be shades of gray in this whole superhero game. Damian might have been fighting them, but they still don't want to see him go to jail. It's after this a broken and dejected Batman stumbles through the rooftops of Gotham City. There's a good chance that he might very well have just let Zur-En-Oss take control of his body 100% at this moment, if it wasn't for Catwoman's own impeccable timing, choosing now to show up and say that they need to have a real talk. Of course, none of this answers the question, what the hell happened to her Guild of Thieves? Well, for that answer, we end up flashing back yet again to see the rest of the Vandal flashback. It seems that his dip in the Lazarus pool didn't help him at all. In fact, the Demon's Head knew this would happen because Ra's has actively been the one trying to keep Vandal sick and weakened this whole time. You see, the meteor that fell to Earth gave Vandal his powers, created the pits, also seeped into the Earth. That Earth became precious stones and other such items of power that actually held within it a small piece of the meteor's power. Ra's, being an immortal himself, hated the idea of Vandal ever becoming more powerful than him, and because of that, he made it his life's mission to keep all of these powerful items as far from Vandal as possible. The further they went, the sicker, weaker, and more caveman-like Vandal became, but as we know, Ra's died. I mean, he didn't stay dead, but he died, meaning that his daughter Scandal was free to try and reclaim some of these amazing items. Items that Catwoman and her people have no doubt been stealing all series long, but the plan was never to create a Guild of Thieves, it was to create an immortal army to serve Vandal, a new League of Shadows, if you will. And so that was Batman issue number 138, everybody, and honestly, much like the rest of Gotham War, I was kinda conflicted on this one. There's some stuff that I certainly liked. The art is really good, the action is good, there's some good one-liners, the ultimate revelation about what Scandal and Vandal are trying to accomplish in Gotham City was pretty solid. But man, you know, your mileage on this one really is going to be how much hero versus hero stuff you can handle in this day and age. And if your answer is none, I really can't blame you. I know I had to read this one in a couple sittings. But, you know, when the ball does get finally rolling on this one and they explain in great detail what Vandal has been after this whole time, and how Scandal's been subtly manipulating Catwoman, yeah, I thought it was pretty good, but maybe only a 7.5 out of 10. I do gotta wonder too, once this story is finally said and done with, how much of the genie are they gonna be able to put back in the bottle on this one, or is this gonna be setting up a whole big new status quo for the Bat family of books?
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.